Hey guys, we're back at you again here. Still a little under the weather here, but while I'm cooped up in here, might as well knock out our next review. Of course, our final 2000s Maiden album until we enter the 2010s. And of course, that is 2006's A Matter of Life and Death. Not my favorite Iron Maiden album cover. Eddie's not as prominently in the picture. He's just kind of like right there on top of the tank. I do think the logo on that tank's pretty cool, and I like the skeleton soldiers. I just wish maybe he was more in a spot where you could see him better. But anyways, yeah, this one a lot like Somewhere in Time and Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. It's like a concept, but not a full blown concept album because it doesn't really tell a whole story like a continuing story, song after song, track after track, but instead it tells like more different stories regarding the same theme of war and stuff like that. So it kind of has the same theme all throughout, which is pretty apparent by the album cover, what it's going to be about. A lot of bloodshed and war and, cool stuff like that. So I thought that was really cool. I really like the back of the album cover. That right there, that logo that's on that tank. Pretty cool. But yeah, this album, this is one of those ones that it really grows on you after you let it sink into you a little bit. Because there are a lot of lengthy ones. There are only 10 tracks on this one. And there's quite a bit of lengthy tracks up in here. I think the majority of them are pretty long epics, which is a good thing. But some of them just take a minute, like maybe a couple listens to let sink in and all. But anyways, this first one doesn't, because it kicks you right in the gut and opens it up. The Attention Grabber, Different World. That is an awesome freaking track. That's some of the best 2000s Bruce Dickinson vocal work is on that track right there, and particularly during the chorus. I mean, man, that or I don't know if you call it post-chorus. There's kind of almost like two choruses going on in this thing, but maybe the bridge. But like, you know what I'm talking about if you heard the song, and it's just like he's hitting these notes, and it's just like, man, just like the past two 2000s records, he has not missed a beat, and it's a very energetic track, which makes it stand out in this track. There aren't a lot of fast-paced ones. That's another reason why you got to kind of give this one a couple listens and let it sink in. Which, before I continue, I want to say also how it's kind of, it's a really dark theme on this album. A lot darker tones, darker themes. I mean, hell, the album cover is even dark, but like, and it kind of reminds me of the X Factor in a way, of how dark and like kind of droning it can be, but not in a bad way. I would just say this is the most Bruce album. The Bruce album that's most like a Blaze Bayley album, for sure. I mean, maybe Different World sounds like it would be off like Virtual 11, but like, as a whole, this album, the kind of drone, like, how it drones on and is a little bit like longer pace, slower pace, not a lot of fast stuff going on. It really does remind me of like the X Factor, which is kind of cool. It makes it stand out in the discography, especially with the Bruce stuff. But anyways, we'll continue on with These Colors Don't Run. A very like proud song, kind of just, you can hear the passion in the voice of Bruce during this one about, it's almost like talk about the war, the good guys, the Brits, whoever you want it to be in this case, their colors don't run for cold, bloody war. I love that lyric. That's really cool. But it's a really passionate track, so definitely a standout. Different World, though, that first track is one of my favorites off here, if not my favorite off here. Then you get, oh my god, the lyrics and the story on this epic right here, Brighter Than 1,000 Suns. This one's actually about the making of the nuclear bomb, so that's pretty badass. I love one of the lyrics, Yellow Sun, its evil twin. I mean, that's just freaking cool. And, it's just talking about a lot of it about the morality of making the bomb itself, and so it's such a cool concept. Again, the war themes all across here. But Brighter Than a Thousand Suns, the breakdown in the middle of that thing, oh my god, that gets me. A lot of time changes in this one. This is a really proggy album. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a progressive rock album or even a prog metal because it's not quite like Dream Theater, but like it's definitely one of their proggier albums. It's got a lot of time changes going on. But anyways, then you get the Pilgrim, which I forgot about that track. And you know, upon this re-listen, it's one of my freaking favorites. I mean, it's just that chorus is so damn hooky, just like that first one. And this is one of the shorter tracks on here, so maybe that's why it stands out a little bit more. But it's just such an incredible song. I love the Pilgrim. Ranks up there as one of the best ones. Then we've got, we're halfway point here, The Longest Day. Another really cool kind of passionate chorus going on. I really like this track. There's no filler on this album that I've discovered. I used to maybe say some of these would be filler, but not anymore. And you know, The Longest Day is another long song, but it's a damn good one. Another standout on here. Then you get Out of the Shadows, which is kind of the more ballady one, which vocally Bruce just nails it again. Like, I'm talking a long note, especially at the end of the song there, which is really freaking cool. Really cool, you know, to be like a slower track on the album and kind of more acoustic based. Then you get this one gets a lot of love online, which, I mean, I get, but it's not one of my favorites. The Reincarnation of Benjamin Breed. It's a cool track, don't get me wrong. It's got a cool story that's going on there. But I don't really feel it ever peaks as far as like, you know, that one. It's just missing an ingredient there to make it like an over-the-top great song for me. It's like the chorus isn't as memorable, I don't think, but it is really cool. It's a really good build-up as, you know, the tale's going on and, you know, talking about the lives he's lived. It's a pretty cool track. It's just, I would say it's one of my least favorites off here. Then you have my favorite off here. If it's not Different World, it's got to be this one. For the Greater Good of God. That is freaking a powerful track with, oh man, so many time changes. This one clocks in almost 10 minutes. This might be, that's actually the longest track in the album at 9 minutes, 25 seconds. And it's just an emotional journey right there. Oh man, that one, I've always been a fan of that one, but I've even grown to love it even more upon these re-listens here for doing this review. Then you've got Lord of Light, which is another really cool track, you know, another really long one. And then you end it on probably my least favorite in the whole album, The Legacy, which is cool. It kind of carries over some of that orchestral stuff that Dance of Death brought to the table, which is pretty cool. And it sounds epic for an ending for sure, but it just, kind of like Reincarnation of Benjamin Breed, it didn't really capture me as much as a lot of the other ones. And I think a lot of that has to do with maybe the pacing that maybe could have sprinkled in maybe one or two more tracks that were like Different World or, you know, The Pilgrim, some shorter ones, and particularly more like Different World, because a faster paced one. That's one gripe about the album that, you know, like I said, it does take a couple of listens to really, you got to sink your teeth into this thing, and then you'll really start feeling it, and you're like, damn, this is really freaking good. But if you're giving it a first listen, you might be a little put off from it. It might be like, oh, that drug on, which, you know, I've been kind of that way with this before. But the tracks, they stand on their own big time. I just think the pacing on the album could have been a little bit better. But great freaking album. A hell of a way to cap off their 2000s stuff, which, you know, Brave New World, Dance of Death, and this. That's a hell of a run right there for, you know, 2000s Maiden. But anyways, next time we're going to be taking a peek at our one of two 2010s albums. Of course, we're talking about the album cover that's got that Eddie that doesn't really look a lot like Eddie, but it's kind of cool because he's an alien. Final Frontier, that's coming up, and we'll get to check that out. And then, of course, we'll have Book of Souls, and the newest one, Senjutsu, which I'm just dying to review. I mean, man. But, I would love to hear everybody's thoughts on this. I know some people I've heard some people call it their favorite Maiden album of all time, and I get where they're coming from. I know even on tours they were like whenever they were touring for this, they were playing this whole set list all the way through, which is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But anyways, yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, and check out again my Facebook page that I've been kind of promoting here. I want to get more people involved in that. It's really cool. We already got a lot of likes and followers. And tonight's theme is a soundtrack Saturday, so we'll get to see some some cool, pull some tracks from soundtracks that maybe weren't featured on albums and stuff that we'll be posting and sharing. So yeah, check that out, and I appreciate it, guys. Thanks.